Hi. As we continue to practice loving ourselves, I'd like for you to pay attention to where the resistance is in all of this, because wherever the resistance is where it's going to limit the experience of love in your life. And so we want to be watchful about that. So the next love skill, are you ready? It's see yourself as a masterpiece. Now, when Scott and I do workshops, this fills the room with laughter every time we say, okay, now we're going to practice see yourself as a masterpiece. And everybody laughs because there's so much resistance. And we're so not taught to do this in our culture. But I want to tell you that your true self is quite wonderful, quite beautiful, quite lovable, quite worthy of all love. It is the masterpiece. Years ago, I went to Italy and I was on my way to see the great David, Michelangelo's, and going down the hallway to see the great masterpiece of David, the sculpture. On each side of the hallway, as I passed by, there were these unfinished works of art, these unfinished masterpieces, they called them, that Michelangelo had done, and they were raw slabs of marble. And yet you could see etched in there already carved some of the perfection of the image that he was working on, and it was like enthralling, I think just as enthralling, if not more so, than some of his actual masterpieces, because these are the works in process. And I like to think of myself as a work in process. Each of us is a masterpiece, a work in process, an unfinished work. Isn't that a wonderful idea? We tend to practice the little self, not the big self, the little self that of ego with all of its restrictions and judgments and limitations about our worthiness, our deservingness of love. And I'd like for you to consider the dragon-like, dragonesque archetype that we're involved with here, as though we're living in a dungeon, and this dragon, if we dare step out into our true selves, the dragon will annihilate us. And we really live under this conditioning. For whatever reason, it's time to break free of the conditioning. So I invite you now to step outside the dungeon, the cave, and to the light where your beautiful highest self, your glorious highest self, can be free to be who it is, to reach its full light potential, its full magnitude. The stars have a measurement of their brightness by their magnitude. And each of us is star-like, with a great magnitude potential of our brightness and our light, depending on will we step outside of the cave. Now, this is where the resistance is. Perhaps you have not attained the lovingness and the forgiveness and the grace in life that you would like. Few of us have. And perhaps you've said and done many things that you regret. All of us have. It's perfectly fine. I'm inviting you now out of the place, the dragon dungeon of guilt, and inviting you into your highest self, your true self, where there's no more ego to hold you back. There's no more dragon to hold you down. Isn't this exciting? And this is what this love skill of seeing yourself as a masterpiece is all about. So I'm inviting you into becoming a hero to yourself. We need a hero. This is a rescue mission. There's no doubt about it. We need to be rescued. Our highest self needs to be rescued. And rescued in order to reach that potential that I'm talking about, and certainly in the potential of love. It begins with loving ourselves, loving our true selves as we truly are, and admitting to ourselves how beautiful, how glorious, the magnificence that each of us carries. This is more than just a potential. This is really the inner self, the self that has been created by the very source of all that exists. The source of love itself created you in its own likeness, in its own image. You are the very outpouring of love, of divine love. This is really who you are. It's time to reclaim your magnificence, your inner beauty, and your vision of yourself as a true masterpiece. And a vision of yourself as your highest self, and not the little ego and the little voice that argues for the limitation of the ego and of its undeservedness and its guilt and its state of Lord knows what, that is always prevented to have the love. Because we're done with that. Those days are gone and over. Now in your heroic self, you're coming to the rescue, you're becoming your best advocate for yourself to be loved, and beginning with loving yourself, beginning by seeing yourself as a masterpiece. Joseph Campbell wrote a wonderful work, The Hero's Journey. And in order for the hero to get to the destiny, it had to go through the forest where all the dragons are. And the hero had to conquer each of the dragons in order to go through the forest and get to the light and the place of destiny. And it's a good metaphor for where we are in seeing ourselves as a masterpiece. It is a rite of passage. There's no question about it. And it begins with our own permission. You have permission. Nobody can give that to you. You have permission to get on your hero's journey and to see yourself as a masterpiece and to get in touch with the beauty, the magnitude, the magnificence, the glory that is truly yours and truly who you are. You are naturally innocent and pure and good. And I don't care what you've done in your life. It's time to go past that, forgive yourself, and rise into this place of freedom to see yourself as a masterpiece. I really mean this for you, and I hope that you will begin right now.